welcome back to Real Fans Podcast. We out here with another episode 13. With y'all live today. Got a lot to talk about. Regards to NFL, hockey, UFC, all that good stuff like we mentioned last week. We out here. What up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's up?
Chilling too?
Not much.
Yo.
Had to loosen up.
Oh, boy, got the Stella on deck.
Haven't had one of these in a while.
Little bottle of protein over here. What you drinking over there?
Hey,
Red
you got
Stripe
the real
red
ting,
beer.
eh?
Oh, right.
got-
Oh, y'all drinking.
We're all going. Yeah, man. Gotta get ready. Gotta get ready.
Gotta loosen
I don't
up,
got my
man.
Corona on me today. Had a funky Buddha earlier though. I think it was good.
The
First time
seltzer
trying it.
or the actual beer. I love that place.
I think it was a seltzer. It was straight though.
I haven't had their seltzer. By the way, that's a local. Yeah, I haven't had their seltzer, but I love their beer.
They out here?
Fort
Fort
Lauderdale.
Lauderdale. Yeah, they're
Oakland
off like
Park.
US 1. Yeah,
Oakland
yeah,
Park.
I've been there. It's pretty good, man. It's big, so we can go there one week. I don't know if they don't have fights or anything. Well, sometimes they have TVs. They show sports, but I don't think they play fights. We should go there one day.
No, yeah, they don't have TVs. It's just games, and then they have one massive, like, super long bar. But yeah. Anyways, let's talk about the big ace. DTA's in the chat right now. You're
What up?
What they do?
First things first, Dak Prescott gets a massive payday, 4 years, $160 million. Does this mean the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, Gabe?
Oh, say that one more time. Say that one
4
more
years,
time.
$160 million. $160 million. $40 million guaranteed this year. Are the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl, Gabe?
Hell no, they're not going to the
No.
damn Super Bowl.
I
Not that
heard-
trashy ass conference.
No.
And yeah, that is
Listen,
true.
Bro, all right. There's a lot to talk about with this man getting paid, which I have nothing against it. He earned it, I guess. I mean, make your money. To the owners, whoever who paid him, that's on you guys with whatever production you get out of him coming off a season. People felt like it was well earned, right? They earned his way. You know, he made his money. You know, he fought for that contract. But I mean, numbers don't lie, games don't lie, wins don't lie. What do you guys think, bro? Like, did he finessed? He finessed hard, right?
I don't know, because that motherfucker's they're about to roll his ass out in his peg leg next year. So I hope the $40 million is worth it. That must be one good ass fucking mechanical leg he's about to have.
Well, I mean, I think it's
That he has.
you know, who's available out there. They're like, who are the premier top quarterbacks?
No, they had to do it.
I mean, you got to secure in that conference just because it's a weaker conference and nobody expected much out of.
For sure, it's one of the worst in the NFL conference.
Yeah. And you asked me about the Cowboys. Everybody's talking about, or people are. I've heard people say the Redskins are going to be, or the football team. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Wow, Gabe. Come on, dude. Wow.
So 2011.
Month past that.
Wow, you bigot. God.
Listen. I'm gonna go the cultural sensitivity training tomorrow.
Call HR, man.
But as far, I mean, the Cowboys had to do it, right? They had to secure a quarterback. I don't think there's much on the market. I mean, it's gonna be tough, especially him coming off injury like that. I mean, I'm not gonna hate, man. Man got paid, and he has put in the work. We'll see how he bounces back as far as his physical ability.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm not here to hate as well, right? I guess he's earned his way, but again, like the win percentage, the playoff runs he's had, I don't think money's gonna help his productivity. I don't think because he got paid now that he's just gonna come back and be a Super Bowl contender.
No, that team's trash.
You know, the team overall, we've seen him this last season, right? It's not just with the quarterback; it's everywhere. Offense, defense.
Their defense is god awful. Their secondary is like one of the worst in the league. They have nobody back there.
He's coming off an injury. He's getting all this money. I hope they have enough money to help him out with an O-line so that he, God forbid, he doesn't get re-injured again. Just you need some protection out there. Otherwise, what's the point of paying your quarterback if you're gonna have him, you know, at risk every snap of the game? Like, it really doesn't make sense to me. So I hope they follow up and they have enough money to get him some help, bro. Help the man. Protect him at least. Protect your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, a lot I was gonna say a lot of people think that Jerry Jones, because everybody thinks he's like kind of the lead like owner out of everybody, because obviously he's the biggest name. He's like been
The most
around for a
meddling.
long time. Yeah. And a lot of people, he's heavily involved in like the TV deals, and especially this big TV deal that's supposed to come up. So a lot of people think he might have this insider info. So it's like, all right, he kind of has an idea like what to expect and what to pay him. I didn't think it was a terrible idea to pay him. I like the length. I like 4 years. I think that's solid. I don't think it locks the Cowboys in for too long. He's going to get a shit ton of money this year. I believe 40 million. Well, 40 million over 4 years, but I think this year is guaranteed. I want to say his first year is the most. I'm not entirely sure, but I want to say that's the case. And like I said, that team has nobody on there. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was a pleasant surprise. He actually played all right. I think he's going to end up being pretty good. Ezekiel Elliott is grossly overpaid, and he's not living up to production whatsoever.
Yeah, that was my boy, man.
Their offensive line is really good, but their defense is then just god awful on all levels, all 3 levels. And
Listen, if Zeke can have a turnaround season, and they have their quarterback, they'll take a lot of the pressure off him, because obviously they didn't have nobody. They heavily relied on him, even though the production wasn't there. He fumbled more than he should have. He didn't really gain much yards. But again, that O-line not opening up gaps, doing anything for them. You know what I mean? So I could see both sides. I don't know. Hopefully he has a comeback season. I had him on my fantasy, not just because I had him on my fantasy, but I was, watching every game more carefully with him now because I had him on my fantasy. So I was kind of like, seeing his production. It was a rough season, obviously, for the Cowboys.
Well, I think it's good for both of them too, because I think so. NFL announced that, so even though with the decrease from 198 in the salary cap down to 182, which is pretty big jump, I believe 7%. They said, I don't know the exact numbers, but they're saying that they're projecting by 2024 or 2025 that the salary cap is going to go up to $250. I keep on saying dollars, millions, and 250 million.
You telling us what you got in your savings?
Yeah,
$250.
Yeah, that's it. 250 million. So by the time of the end of his 4 years, I think there was another reason why Dak and his agent is like, well, if Dak can prove himself with his next 4 years and be pretty good, then he can get even a fatter contract by the end of his next one. And with the rate that quarterbacks are getting paid, it's going to blow up. And we'll see with that. I think that team needs a lot more pieces, especially on defense, because honestly, I don't even have them favorite coming out of the division, and the division's trash. I think Washington might take it again. And if the Giants can shore up some stuff, the Giants might be able to take it. I don't see Philly doing anything. They made a run for
the end of the season. Don't sleep on the Giants. They're always the favorite at 8-8, bro, and they find a way to get.
Washington's the better team, though. The only reason why their record was even that bad was because they didn't have a quarterback. Because I mean, they had a half decent quarterback with Alex Smith, and they went 5-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't disrespect Alex Smith like that.
Well, he's cut now. Right? No, I respect Alex Smith. I love Alex Smith. I've always been a huge fan of Alex Smith. And I hope he comes here now that he's cut, comes reunite with Urban Meyer, the same man that turned him into the #1 overall pick coming out of Utah.
You got Hurts with the Eagles. Hurts with the Eagles to see what he can do as a starter now. So
we'll see. People are talking about him being them drafting quarterback. I don't see them drafting quarterback. I think they really want to see like what he has. Like, why draft him second round? Blow up the fucking building with getting rid of the coach, getting rid of Wentz. Like, why do all that just to like draft another quarterback? That makes no sense to me. So Hurts is definitely starting, but
gotta give the boy a chance, man.
There's no way in hell the Cowboys are in this shit division. They still have a hard time making it, unless
they're gonna compete. So they got a 1 in 4 chance of making it. So at least to the playoffs.
ETA said that the Cowboys, hell no, they should not make it to the Super Bowl, and your fantasy team was basura. Jojo.
It's very, very true. Very true. Had ups and downs, man. I had ups and downs. I got a little losing streak, bro. That's what killed me. I had a 4-game.
You gave up in my fantasy team. You just quit because you're getting your ass creamed so many times.
After week 2 in that one, I was like 0-2. I already know how this season's gonna go, bro.
You had some good players, but then the rest of your team was just trash. Yeah. I don't know. We're all going to get in our own one fantasy team. We got to do that.
Let's make it
'Cause this
happen.
past year was split. But
Is there
anyway,
any other
staying on
news?
NFL free agency. I mean, there's tons of stuff going on. I mean, all the franchise tags happened, which kind of made me upset. But let's go on with Gabe. This is a topic for you and the Miami Dolphins. What free agent targets would you like to see them pursue? Who would you like to see them cut? What would you like the Dolphins to do? I can rattle off the top 20 free agents right now real quick for you.
Okay.
And let me know what you think. So
I was gonna say, let me preface this with like Dolphins were kind of defense heavy, top heavy. We pulled up a lot of the contracts, and a lot of them are on defense. So the first two guys is Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, which they are veteran players and they were paid the most, but they have performed. I believe they performed to their contracts. Then they got defensive end Lawson, Ogba. They've also played well. So I think our defense, they've put a lot of investment into the defense. And the defense like showed out this year. They had a great year this year, and I kind of feel like in general they should kind of look towards offense, getting a name player or somebody that can add, big plays in big spots. So if you want to run through, you can run through and see. I don't know where you're getting off. What website are you running?
So this is ESPN. It's their top 25. I mean, top 20 free agents. So here we go. Number 1, Trent Williams, offensive lineman, left tackle, San Francisco, which is a good one. Hunter Henry, tight end. Yannick Ngakoue. Number 3 at edge. Bud Dupree at edge. Kenny Galladay, wide receiver. Number 6, Jonnu Smith, tight end. Trey Henderson, edge. Aaron Jones, running back. Shaquille Barrett, edge. Corey Lindsey, center. Corey Davis, wide receiver. Joe Thunley, guard. Alejandro Villanueva, offensive tackle. Or was he a guard? Yeah, left tackle. He's a left tackle. AJ Green at number 14. Matt Miliano at linebacker. Hassan Riddick played for the Cardinals at edge. Juju Smith-Schuster, number 17, wide receiver. Desmond King, the second cornerback. Curtis Samuel, who's an interesting guy. Carolina, wide receiver. Shaquille Griffin, quarterback. And then I'm just going to name in these 21 and 22 because they're interesting. Will Fuller, 21, wide receiver, Texans. Patrick Peterson, Arizona. So which one of those names stuck out to you?
I think one of the first ones was Galladay, which was the wide receiver from Detroit. We'll see, because it all kind of leans into like the draft to see what kind of player they want to get, right? Because in the draft, we're talking about veteran players who are in the free agent market, guys, who have been.
Well, free agency's next week. This is going to establish what you're going to do in the draft.
So we'll see. Yeah. So I mean, but what I want to make the point is that like in the draft you can get good players for cheap, right? Because their contracts aren't going to be that big. So obviously this is going to affect wherever they try to sign as far as veteran players. That'll kind of give me hints to like, okay, so who are they going for in the draft? Trent Williams is a big name. I think he's well respected in the league. That would be awesome if we can get him on our team.
Yeah, he's been
his contract's going to command.
Yeah, he's going to want money for sure. Yeah. He's going to want money big time because he actually has never had like a big payday. I don't think Washington ever really paid him that much. And then he went over to San Francisco, I believe, on a trade. But yeah, he's big time. I mean, he's been the best left tackle in the league for years. And he's 33 now, but I think he still got it. I mean, he hasn't slowed down at all.
Yeah, so getting a line, it would help. Like getting obviously a big lineman with a big name like that would help, but I don't think that's all the priority. I think they should stick to like skill players. So like Galladay would be a good choice in my eyes. I think he's pretty good. That'll help spread the offense a little bit more. Also, I don't think they're looking for tight ends. You said Henry. I mean, I feel pretty good.
Henry and Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I think Gesicki. I'd rather stick with Gesicki. I feel like Henry, Gesicki. He was probably the best wide receiver that we had on the team.
I think you guys get a I think you guys could use a second tight end, like in the like a little later in the draft, just to have another weapon there. But like he's not coming in and establishing big money in a starter. Like you just have a nice backup to him, some little bit of depth.
What I would like to see is, like I said, a skill player. So a wide receiver or maybe a bigger running back, like a third down running back, because right now we got
You
small,
want
fast
Juju?
guys.
You want Juju?
Boy,
I'll take
Juju.
Juju. I don't know if Juju wants to come down to Miami. I mean, I know all these
I
guys.
think he wants big market, man. He's got that YouTube channel. He's popping off.
All
Yeah,
these
man.
guys come to
He's
vacation in
popular.
Miami, so you might see him, on the
Honestly, I
ground.
was gonna bring that up. Like, who? I mean, obviously, Miami, attractive city, attractive place to be. For these free.
He said he
agents.
ain't staying in He's saying he ain't staying in Pittsburgh. As he flat out said it.
It
He's
hurts to get
done.
hit that hard in the cold, man. So,
Bro,
and
and I feel like there's always a lot of tension with some of the players with Big Ben because he that's still his team, and they kind of are like they're kind of over that,
they're gonna
and they re-signed him
drag his
again.
corpse
I'm like,
out there
you
one
know
more
what I
time.
mean? Like,
I
it's
really
whatever
think.
Big Ben says goes.
Yeah, my thing with Kenny Galladay though is he gets hurt a lot, and that's what he hasn't played a full season in a while. He's good. He's not super fast. He's a big guy, but he's for sure gonna want a lot of money. He's gonna get paid the most, especially with Allen Robinson getting tagged by the Bears. And who am I missing? There's another person who recently they're at sign or tag. I don't remember. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised to see you guys get like somebody like a Will Fuller or Curtis Samuel, like maybe like a faster guy, because you already kind of have Devontae Parker, which is kind of your bigger receiver. And I think getting more of a speed guy who can take the top over the edge, because that's what you guys are missing. You guys are missing somebody to take the top off, like really go deep and go far. Unless you get somebody in the draft, but I think you guys are in good position to take a big time receiver. Like, but I would for sure probably get a speed guy, and then you guys draft Jamar Chase, like big time. Like
So
Jamar
I
Chase
think
is big. Get like a Curtis
the
Samuel.
primary should be skill, and I think maybe better help on linebacker. We lost Van Noy.
Yeah, you're gonna replace.
He also played well this year.
No respect, man. You were like gone with that guy. Like, you know what? Fuck that guy. I don't want him no more.
I mean, he was good. Like, I don't know.
The heart of your defense, bro.
Yeah. So those, I mean, more skilled players. And hopefully they'll get just stepping up the defense a little bit. But I think we're pretty solid as far as like our secondary. I think we're pretty solid. Our linemen are pretty good. Like I said, the O-line might be a secondary or tertiary concern. So they can find, I don't think that's a primary concern. Just get somebody who can stretch the field, veteran player, been around, that they can get open. Because we got a lot of small guys, a lot of no-name guys who are small, 7th rounders, 4th rounders, But there's not really a big impact player with like a big name, a big splash name. Devontae Parker, to me, I'm kind of over it. Like, he's hasn't performed to the level that we expected when we drafted him. So he's not to say he's like a bust, but
he's a number 2. He's a number 2. He's not a number 1 guy.
He's not a number 1. So
I think you guys get a speed. Like, I feel this way. The same thing with the Jags. Like, Will Fuller, I feel like is a good like 1-year prove it deal. Like, because that guy he can fly. Like, he's fast as hell, but he's always hurt. And I think right now he's going to be suspended for the beginning of the season because he was suspended the last few games because of PEDs. But he's still a solid talent if he can just like.
Casually just said that. You're like, yeah, he got suspended for some PEDs. Like, what?
That shit happens all the time.
Well, even sometimes they won't even get suspended for PEDs. They'll be like, if you have a diuretic, like that makes you piss more water or something, you get in trouble just for that, not even necessarily drugs. So unless they come out in the news with what specifically the specific molecule
I forgot what it is.
he tested for. Yeah.
He was for sure suspended though.
Yeah. And that won't help his stock. That'll actually make him a little bit cheaper. So like, if you're gonna be suspended for like 2, 3, 4 games at the beginning of the year,
you're not getting the most value if you're not on the field.
You can get that's what I'm saying. You can get a cheap deal with him. I think he's a really slept on free agent because you can get a cheap deal with him, like kind of a 1-year prove it deal, and then during that you can have your first round receiver come in and like see what he can do, kind of learn, develop. Like I said, I've always been saying this in the jump. Dolphins need to trade back. Do not pick at 3. Trade back, get more shit. You can still get your receiver, 100%. Especially with the way the quarterbacks are trending, people are going to start trading up, and you guys are in prime position to just trade back within that top 10 and still get the guy you're going to get anyways.
Get Devonta. Nah, we need Devonta. Get Devonta,
dude.
Yo, so
there's no way, bro. There's no way.
I want to talk about your Jacksons. You guys are ahead of us in the draft, and kind of where you're thinking about, like, as far as these free agents, what are the holes or spots that you guys need?
So biggest need, tight end. We literally don't have a tight end. Like the room is they blew it up. Like we do not have a tight end. So I'm looking at either Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. You got to get one of those guys. They both had injury problems. When Hunter Henry's on the field, he's dominant. Same thing with Jonnu Smith. I always thought Jonnu Smith was kind of whatever, but then when I went back and like kind of watched some of those games and looked, I was like, you know what, he's actually not bad. And I kind of watched some of his highlights.
Yeah.
He's fast. He's big. He's kind of like AJ Brown out there. So
what do you think that contract's gonna look like? What do you think they'll give him?
Well, Hunter Henry's gonna get big money for sure, but
yeah, I think this is the second.
I don't care. The Jaguars have the most cap space in the entire league at $70 million, so we can afford to overpay like 4 people.
And
like,
you guys are getting the best quarterback in the draft. I know
the
you're
most
good right now,
and the most picks. So I say you got to go after one of those guys. I think we have a really good shot at getting one of them. Like one of them is coming to us. We just tagged our left tackle Cam Robinson, which I was a little upset about because I wasn't a big fan of his performance this past year. He played all right. He played average. I would have really liked to see us get Trent Williams, but now seeing that we tagged our left tackle, it looks like we're kind of sticking with him, and Trent Williams is going to go somewhere else.
Real quick, so some of our regular fans that don't really know what that means. What do you mean by tag? Franchise tag? Explain.
The franchise tag is something that a team can do. So when a player is reaching the end of his contract and it's the final year of his contract, a team can decide if they don't want to sign him to a deal just yet, they can put a franchise tag on him. And the franchise tag is what's kind of keeps the player locked into you for a year. But that franchise tag is the salary of the top 3 highest paid in their position plus 20%. So they average out the top salary and then a 20% on top of that. And a team can only franchise a tag a player twice, back to back. So, but you can also sign them to a deal if you franchise tag them. So sometimes a lot of teams will franchise tag a player so they can't go anywhere else. And then it gives them more time to negotiate. Or sometimes, a lot of times, the teams just play. Like Dak Prescott played on a franchise tag. His contract ended last year or the year before last, so they franchise tagged him, kind of like a prove it deal, while they were trying to figure out the negotiations for things, which they ended up doing. But anyways, so going back, I would have liked to have Trent Williams, but Trent Williams is gone. I thought about, well, first off, I really wanted Allen Robinson. It would have been awesome to see him come back to Jacksonville, especially with him being the top free agent and wide receiver. I would have loved to see that, but he got tagged by the Bears, which he's upset about because he wanted to leave. So I would like to see a Will Fuller, like what I was mentioning, even for the Dolphins, like same thing. I would like to see Will Fuller on a 1-year prove it deal, and then the Jags draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds sometime, whether it be Kadarius Toney from Florida or like a Rondale Moore from Purdue. Like, I would like to see us get some. We need speed. The same issue with the Dolphins. The thing is, we have good base players with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault. They're good one-on-one, like jump ball guys. But we need a guy who can just fly and like play the slot and just take it down, like straight go verticals, and just take the top off. So, like I'm looking at a Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel kind of worries me because he hasn't really played a whole lot, hasn't put a lot of production. But Will Fuller doesn't. I don't mind getting and then drafting somebody. And as goes for the defense, I was really looking at Leonard Williams for the Giants. That guy is a monster, bro. That guy was a monster. 12.5 sacks this past year as a defensive tackle. It was big time, but he ended up getting tagged. So apparently the other tackle on the other side of him has been really good. I forgot his name, Davidson or something like that. Apparently he's supposed to be good. But top things we need to address: defensive line, especially the interior defensive line, tight end, and another receiver, and maybe some secondary players like a safety, because we have no depth on that. We need a lot of. The only position that looks good to us is our linebackers. Linebackers are the only thing I feel good about. Our running back, James Robinson, he's good, but I would like to see he needs another player. We need some more depth at that, so he can't run the ball all the time. I like to see more depth, more of a speed guy, because he's more of a power runner. But offensive line, Urban Meyer said that we're pretty much sticking with them. Like, so it doesn't look like we're doing anything, but like everything else, you need to try to do as much as you can. We got so much fucking money. You need to start fucking spending it because we need a lot of
Right
fucking
now,
shit.
with the situation you guys in a great spot right now. So I'm asking a bold question. Super Bowl bound?
To Jags.
One and done, bro.
That's all you need. You're putting everything in
Worst to first. Worst to
We'll
first.
see, man. I don't have faith in Urban Meyer.
I think we're a playoff team. I think we're gonna go 9-8, 9-8, and win a playoff game. That's my goal.
It has to be a playoff season, like 100%.
100%.
The
I think
stars are
Urban
aligning with Jacksonville right now. The stars are aligning right now.
I think Urban is one of those guys where he's not looking for the future. He's trying to win now. Like he's got all the things lined up. He's trying to win now. I think, to me, we got to at least make the playoffs or be in the hunt.
Listen, man.
At least look, if the Dolphins were fucking trash, bro. The Dolphins were trash. They were 5-11.
Don't give me that slander.
They were trash, and they turned it around. They built up their defense, and they're 10-6. And you know it, Gabe. They were tanking that year. They sucked. You guys started Ryan Fitzpatrick. You had nobody on that team, and you guys went 10-6.
You, sir.
Hall of Famer.
And who's to say? I mean, we got so much. There's so many things we can add, but if the Dolphins,
I just want to just chime in real quick for the franchise tag we're talking about. The Bears have a franchise tag on Allen Robinson. Jaguars have it on their offensive lineman Cam Robinson. It's your team. Also, the Bucs have it on Chris Godwin, and the Cowboys have it on Dak Prescott. So,
hold up. So DTA in the chat said Lawrence hasn't even played a game in the NFL yet. LMFAO, a playoff team already. Mind you, Tua was not that great this year, and they arguably could have been a playoff team.
One win away. They were 1 win away.
They won what, 11 games and
10.
didn't make the playoff?
10 with very, very average quarterback play and had to be saved by Ryan Fitzpatrick in a couple moments. With no offensive weapons, an all right offensive line, and an all right running game. Their defense held them up.
So season is a win for me.
And it's possible. It's possible.
They won 10 games.
It's the NFL. Anything can happen at the end of the day. Anything can happen.
And imagine when he improves. Imagine next season he improves. Yeah. That's a playoff team. That's a playoff team for sure. They're one game away from winning the playoffs.
Tua? DTA says, I don't believe in Tua. I don't either.
Yeah.
Get Russell Wilson, bro. Get Russell Wilson.
Yeah, wait and see
Deshaun Watson.
And we can transition on to the next topic.
There's only so much I can hear about your Jacksonville Jaguars. Right. So we'll see.
You asked.
I know you got a lot to say.
Hopefully,
what was the other big tags that you said, Gabe? There's a couple like really big ones. Chris Godwin. I know Chris Godwin got tagged by Tampa.
Allen Robinson with the Bears.
Leonard Williams, the Giants.
Dak Prescott, which is why he got the big contract, has a franchise tag on him.
Does he have a franchise tag this year?
Yeah.
Really?
Only 10 players. Yeah. Justin Simmons, a safety for the Broncos.
So they franchise tagged him and then extended them?
Yeah, that's what the franchise
Justin Simmons was somebody I was really looking at. That guy's the best safety in the league. The Broncos tagged him. Like
he'll be on somebody for a minute.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna re-sign him for sure. They might re-sign him this year.
Yeah, but I think those are notable names. I think people have heard of before. Those 3 or 4 names.
Yeah,
so those are the big ones. It's just
Oh, and breaking news too. Not breaking news, but like right before we got on, Lavonte Davis signed a deal with the Bucs. Bucs brought him back on. So right now, it looks like they're going to let Shaquille Barrett walk. It looks like, and then Devin White. We'll see.
He's so good, man.
Well, Devin White's still on contract, isn't he? Wait, is he on contract? I don't know. But they re-signed Lavonte David, which I know was one thing, but it looks like they're going to let Shaquille Barrett walk.
That guy's a monster, man. That's so many good moments like in the playoffs.
Lavonte David?
Barrett.
All of them, yeah. Barrett, yeah, he's going to get big time money. You talking about if you need a pass rusher this year, like there's a lot. But Dupree,
Dupree, he's also good to the edge. But we shall see.
Hold up, real quick. Dolphins should really consider Aaron Jones. How do you feel about that?
Gabe's face.
Aaron Jones?
I don't know.
Aaron Jones is great, bro. I can't believe they let him walk. Dolphins should really look at that.
We shall
He's like-
see. What's the next? What do you want to get into next?
Listen,
right.
Yo, guys, boss moves. Let's talk about the boss himself, man. Yo, The Rock right now. This guy he's all over the place, bro.
Real life
His
ballers. Real life
ownership
ballers.
is tequila brand, Titan games, Young Rock the show, his movies, going for Black Adam. He's still swole. I don't understand. This guy,
That's
don't know how he has time.
PEDs. That's
But-
PEDs.
Oh,
Okay?
100%. That
We're not
dude's,
gonna-
that
That's
dude's
HGH right there.
Yeah,
bro.
I was gonna say he's on HGH 100%. That dude got
This
bigger
guy
after he hit 40. He got bigger.
took ownership of the XFL, and he's talking about in talks with the CFL. It's possible merger. What? How big is this for CFL? He used to play in the CFL, so he has ties and connections there. Unfortunately, he never made it to the league, but that was the next best thing at the time. What do you guys think?
Go, Gabe. You got this.
I was gonna say I follow The Rock a lot, and this is kind of in line with what he does. Like you say, he's kind of like a mogul, being in his transition, from football to wrestling, and now kind of a superstar actor.
He's a
with action.
superstar overall,
Yeah.
bro. Across boards, Under Armour. I forgot I can't threw that one out. Man, like this guy's everywhere.
So it's in line with his business practice. I think it brings a name and credibility. Like, oh shit, The Rock believes in whatever project. So, I guess it'll help explode. I still think the NFL is king. Like, I didn't watch any of these. I did watch the XFL a couple games. And it was okay. It was kind of like the regular season, kind of how the NFL was now with the crowd, because there was no crowd there. So and on the games they could like pipe in the coach talking, like calling a play or whatever. So that was kind of interesting. And I thought it was fun for a little bit, but until the XFL, I guess, went back down. So, and The Rock was one of the first guys to kind of just raise his hand and say, "Hey, I want to bring this back and be popular." So it's in line with everything that kind of his circle, his atmosphere is about, like kind of a businessman, very likable guy. So he's just a boss making boss moves. So we'll see. Like, I still think football's king, and I'm gonna watch the football sport if it's on. Like if it's on, not on during football. So if they do like an off season, a parallel is where it's not like in the middle of playoffs or something, like, you know what I mean? Like where it's in a time that I'll watch it, because usually Sundays, I'm watching from fucking 1 o'clock to like 7 o'clock anyways.
Yeah.
But
I think it's dope, even with his name attached to it or tied to it, right? It'll give more people opportunity, right? To tune in and give them. You never know, why they didn't make it to the NFL or anything, but it's still like pursuing their dreams, whether it's the CFL or XFL, they're still playing football, and I guess that'll definitely give them a bigger platform. Maybe get scouted more. Obviously, viewership. More viewership. It gives opportunity for people to make more money. You know what I mean? That's their living right there. So I think it'll be dope.
And also, I was gonna say, a lot of the players crossed over. So once the XFL went away, a lot of players got gobbled up. So I'm thinking Philip Walker. I think he was the backup quarterback for Carolina. There's a couple quarterbacks that played in XFL for a little bit and then switched over. There's some wide receivers. I'm trying to look up the names here now, but
Landry
like
Jones was one. He was
Yeah.
a backup for the Steelers. PJ Walker, who played for the Houston Renegades, he actually got picked up by Seattle. So some
Yeah.
people actually made a name for themselves, able to bounce back. I really think
I was gonna
say,
Yeah.
like, I think this is really good. Like, there's a huge opportunity with this, because the NFL's the only, the football's the only sport that doesn't have a true like feeder league or like a true like B
Exactly.
league. Like, you had arena and the thing is, I think there's tons of untapped potential there, because think about like during the off season, look at what we've talked about so far. Like, football is still being the overwhelmingly like most talked about sport, even though it's not even going on, which is like crazy. And a lot of people when you don't think about it, you're like, holy shit, like, yeah, like it's still the most talked about thing. And we're not even in the middle of the season, like NHL, basketball, or baseball about to start up, and it's still like being talked about more than anything else. And I think there's this huge untapped potential, because living in Jacksonville, we had an arena football team, and those are arena football. Same thing with Canadian football. Started like right after the season ended, and those games would be packed because people just want to see football. Like I said, football is king. It's nothing. It'll take. I don't think anything will ever beat it in America, and even with those like really C D tier leagues, like Canadian football is really the B tier league, but like arena football and stuff, seeing that, just seeing like the excitement about it was just like was electric. And now seeing the XFL was awesome. And I think the XFL, the more competition is better for the consumer because we're going to end up seeing the NFL start to adopt more, which we already kind of did. Because I thought the XFL had a ton of really great rules, like you said, with hearing the quarterback call the play calls, hearing the coaches, like that's cool. Like hearing the quarterback in the huddle. The kickoffs were safer because you don't have these guys running 50 yards down the field. Like it's like only a 20-yard gap, and like. And also,
They're
you
doing
have
interviews.
more.
Somebody will score a touchdown. They would do interviews.
And you have
like, interview person right there.
Yeah, there's a lot that Vince McMahon actually came up and his whole team, like they actually did a pretty good job with what they had. And I'm kind of surprised to see them like hop off of it so quickly, especially with them having the WWE and everything. You think they would have stayed on that for a little bit longer, but now talking about like them merging with Canadian football, to me it just makes so much sense, and it's perfect. Like it's literally perfect. First off, the Canadian football really needs it because from what I understand after researching it, they're kind of struggling, and especially with them not even having a season this past year really hurt them. And then you're not having to establish a fan base in new cities now like you are with the American teams. By merging with the Canadian Football League, you're already having this established fan base to already have stadiums, already have logos, already have everything's already there, and it could really pop off. I mean, that's what made the NFL pop up, was merging with AFL and NFL combining together, and now it helped what made it so big. And Canadian football, I mean, it'd be awesome. Like, and people in Canada, they love football. Like those games, like I've watched a few of those games, they pop off. Or like sometimes Buffalo would play in Toronto, and those games would be big. So like seeing them, the only thing I could see it being a little weird is maybe the travel in some instances. But if the NHL can do it, football,
bro,
the
NHL, NBA, even MLB's in there. Obviously, not extensive as the NHL. With like
NHL's way, half the team.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's a couple, but still, man, it's possible. Obviously, it is. You know,
and it's great for us because
anyways. So
it's something to watch too. Like I'm all for it. Like I watched the XFL. Like I really did. More to watch it. The more I see it grow, and I think it's good for players to like kind of have a second chance. Like if you don't really like, because obviously no NFL teams looking at the AFL. Barely anybody made it back out of the CFL. I mean, the only ones I can really think of was like Doug Flutie is like the biggest name to really make a name for himself out of the CFL. And AFL, I will say Kurt Warner started in the AFL. But like having a real feeder league would be really good. Like, and I'm all for that. And at the end of the day, you're still getting high level talent, because even kids who aren't able to get drafted or make practice squads or like training camp or whatever and get cut,
can still get tape.
They can still get tape. Yeah, you can still get tape. It's still gonna be better than college. Like you're still getting high level like talent, and it's a way for them to make a living while still doing what they want. And
exactly what I was gonna say, because after college, if you really wanted to play, man, you know, not everyone has the opportunity to make money off of doing something they love, playing football. You know what I mean? In baseball, you got minor leagues, you got AAA, single A, double A. You know, NBA,
international,
G League,
Japan,
you know, and like you know, there's so many other opportunities. But in America, it's like you know, you don't have that many opportunities to keep playing. You know what I mean?
And because there's no it's not an international sport.
Exactly. So the merger, you know, would just help the sport itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and this is a competition. I think just coming up, as long as it can be innovative. The one thing I'm really curious about to see what they're going to do with the rule. I think if XFL does merge with the CFL, they're going to take on. Because Canadian football is like, I think their fields are wider. The goalpost is at the beginning of the end zone, kind of like old school NFL, and a couple other things. Oh, they have 3 downs instead of 4.
What?
You never watched CFL?
Bro, I did not know.
I watched. Sometimes they'll play on.
I mean, it's definitely harder, obviously, but it's probably why the viewership is down, man. Who's getting first down with the 3 tries?
Hard. Well, it's also hard for Americans. I think what helps like sports here do so well is you have your home teams, and like when they like, I've seen a few games of them play, because every now and then ESPN would put it like some of CFL. And I think it's kind of hard, and I think it's part of the reason why soccer MLS is starting to blow up, but international soccer is not really blowing up because I think there's something about rooting. And
Yeah, I think the last time I heard about CFL was when Johnny Manziel was there. I think he was on the Alouettes or one of these teams. I don't know.
Now he's in fan craze football. In all
Yeah.
kinds of leagues. That fan craze football looks crazy.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
football's up and coming. It's big. We know it's the biggest sport in America, and it's still rising, and there's still more opportunity, which is gonna be crazy.
Dude, the NFL half the teams didn't even have fans, and the rest of the half had like 20% capacity, and they doubled their revenue. They're the only league double their revenue during this whole pandemic. Everybody else took a hit. So
Wow.
it just showed like I was just getting. People talk about NBA is going to overtake it because all the CT using football. At the end of the day, I don't buy that shit. It's bullshit because at the end, like
He says bull jive.
Because the thing is, people are still going to play. Look, UFC and MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world, and it's the most violent. People like violent. Like, so what? People might not have their kids play football, but there's going to be some people that do.
Talking about violence and up and coming sports, perfect
UFC?
situation right now. NHL, the rise of NHL, man.
Hype. This is big.
Listen,
this is big.
Only sport where you can have players just square up in the middle and just fight.
And people be okay. They're okay with it. They're like, yeah,
it's great.
And then they're like, all right, let's keep moving. So NHL rising, right?
I think this is huge. This is huge, man. I kind of went on with the Canadian football thing, so you go, Gabe.
I'm kind of getting into hockey. I remember watching hockey as a small little kid when I was like elementary school. My friend on my baseball team, I think his dad had season tickets to watch the Panthers. So and I'm kind of getting back into it now that we actually got a pretty good team. So hockey's fun. I've been to, I think we talked about this last time. I've been to a couple games in Sunrise. It's a fun experience, and it's a big deal. Hockey can be exciting. I think it's a little, it can be a little bit more exciting than soccer. Even though I haven't watched soccer in a while, but I have, and it can be fun depending on whatever team you're rooting for, and depending on what league. If you're in the English league or if you're watching international soccer, those can be fun. But hockey can be just as exciting as well. Like, these guys are skating fast. They're big. Some of them are like the size of LeBron. They're like 6'7", 6'8", and they're fucking skating, crashing into the wall, hitting each other. So
the agility is insane.
Yeah.
In hockey, I think it's one of the hardest sports to just play. Like, you can't just. You got to be athletic just to hop on there.
Yeah.
To move like that on skates, bro. Like.
Yeah, so to hear that, they just signed a big deal with ESPN. I mean, that's big moves for hockey, showing, I guess the strength of it is still, maybe not number one like football, but it's still a top tier,
relevant sport. Yeah.
It's the top four. It's the top four. It's a major four.
Yeah, and so I'm getting excited for hockey. Miami, we don't have that much tradition. We're a very young team, and we've never been to a championship. But other franchises like the New York Rangers or Chicago Blackhawks, Tampa Bay Lightning's actually been pretty good.
They've been good forever. Yeah.
Pittsburgh Penguins, man, can't sleep on them.
Pittsburgh Penguins. So there's others.
Not to cut you off. I think Julian mentioned there's so many Canadian hockey teams right within the league, obviously, as well. And you look back at the last 10 championships or last 15 or last 20, and it's like they're known, for the hockey, obviously, setting all that up and the popularity of it over there. And it's all US based teams that have been winning the chip.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But mind you, yeah, it's Canadian, but there's a lot of international players as well. There's like Swedish players.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like football. There's a cap, so it's just one of those that comes down to organizations. It's just cool.
They're trying to.
The odds are in America's favor. There's just more teams.
Yeah, so there's a lot of international players, so that's why it's a big deal when the Olympics come around and these players are when U.S. plays Canada. I think last time they played each other, I think the U.S. won, which was like a big shocker, being a Canadian sport. But in general, the NHL. I think they're trying to grow, as far as like US, it's just kind of like with soccer as well. They're trying to get bigger names, international names, that are like American based. Because if you think of I don't know, who's the biggest hockey player. Maybe the biggest guy
Ovechkin.
they've pushed in the NHL is Crosby. Maybe they pushed. Who plays for the
Crosby
Penguins.
and Ovechkin.
But yeah, Ovechkin is what is he from? Where is that? I forget.
Russian.
Yeah. But most of these players are international as well. So I think the NHL is
Well, Crosby's
strong and,
Canadian.
oh, okay. So see, not even American.
Yeah, Crosby's Canadian.
But NHL is a strong league. And them signing this big deal, just kind of proves they're like solidifying their still top rank and in American sports.
Yeah, I was talking to Julian about it before. I've yet to even see a live game. I'm down to go. Yeah,
We can go, man.
So
game.
You need to stop getting off of work at 1 o'clock in the morning, bro.
Yeah, so their deal is $2.8 billion over 7 years, $400 million a year.
Damn.
Well, to put in perspective with the NFL, by the way, they're talking about just for scale reference, the NFL's deal that they're working with whoever, all their TV deals, it's projected to be around $7 billion a year, $70 billion, $80 billion. So just kind of put in perspective. But do you think NHL? I don't know if it actually is, or if do you think NHL has passed MLB or will pass MLB?
Not quite. In my humble opinion,
I don't know. I'll look it up. Actually, I'll look up. See,
I'll probably rank MLB. Yeah, go ahead, Jojo.
No. Because you know me when it comes to MLB. Yeah. Ready to.
As far as money wise, as far as the
just pure just popularity of the sport and revenue and just
Listen, man.
Revenue kind of dictates popularity.
Some of these major cities, bro. You can't. I know. Bro, the fan base just runs too deep. Baseball is America's pastime.
Yeah.
Maybe hockey might have the greatest increase in fan base, but that doesn't mean they're gonna surpass, let's say MLB or something.
Well, if they're making more money than the MLB, then that.
As far as popularity among people, I would rank football number 1, probably NBA number 2. MLB number 3, and then NHL number 4 as far as American sports. But that might differ in the revenue. I don't know how much billions. I would probably put
baseball is actually second.
Yeah, I'll put baseball number 2 in revenue.
Do you know how many people attend a baseball game in these major cities, like where Yankee Stadium sits, or Chicago, or at LA?
Well, you want to know what's crazy too is the top 5 leagues in the world, by revenue, is the top 4 in America, which is the big 4, the basketball, hockey, baseball.
And here's the thing with baseball. It's crazy because you bring it up. Like you said, it has its pros and cons of having such a long season, right? 162 games. Every game, that's opportunity for money. That is a lot of money.
I will say I think
TV commercials.
What I will say is, though, I think baseball is heavily, heavily carried by their top 5 franchise.
I could agree.
They're heavily carried by the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers,
Chicago
Cubs, and Giants. Maybe I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Cardinal, St. Louis, you know what I mean? Those
I don't know if those are big money. Cardinals are obviously a great team, but I don't know if they're we would have to look at the Forbes top most valuable things.
Yeah, of course.
But I do feel like baseball is heavily carried by those 5 things.
Yeah. But you're not wrong about that. And recent history, past couple of years, there've been teams, smaller franchise teams on the rise as well, which they're building their fan base, their loyal fan base, because once the team starts winning, you see some of these lower tier teams, having some success, and that thrives here in the city. And obviously baseball is not going anywhere. So it's just a turn of transitions. Obviously, my Yankees, we were kind of sleeping these last couple of years. That gave opportunity for other teams to rise and come up. You know what I mean? Hasn't been like them every single year. But, to throw in, even though the cheating scandal, Astros a couple years ago were nobody, right? No one paid attention. No one cared about the Astros. A-Rod was getting paid more than starting 9. Now, teams like Houston come, all right, basketball, football, baseball now. You know what I mean? they're winning teams and their attendance and everything like that. Don't watch out for the Padres coming up. They sign big names, you know what I mean? That's gonna bring people to watch the games. You know what I
Real
mean?
quick, as a
Yeah,
little like trivia thing. So football's 1, baseball's 2, basketball's 3, blank is 4, hockey is 5. Who is 4?
Don't say
sorry.
MLS.
No, in the world. In the world.
Oh,
Oh,
in the world?
wait, like professional or
No,
like
MLS
sport?
is 5 in America. 100%. But
Okay.
like who's number 4?
Well,
Cricket?
I know cricket's pretty popular international. I know they watch that shit in India, and there's like
But
a
we're talking
billion
about a
people in
league.
India.
We're talking about a league.
A league.
Well, cricket's the second most popular sport in the world, but that's
Is it
because
what
it's
like
propped up
I
by
don't really
India.
know. I don't really know soccer like that. I'll be honest with
I'm
La
not gonna say
Liga maybe,
tennis.
or
The
like
Premier League.
Premier League, right? I knew it was
Yeah,
one of those
the English soccer league. So Manchester,
English soccer
Chelsea.
league.
That makes sense.
League, right?
Number 6 is La Liga, so Spanish
So I
soccer
threw
league.
that in there. Yeah, La Liga's in there.
You know,
I didn't know.
shout out to the MLS. They're on the grind, bro. They're about to pass Australian Football League, which
Wow.
I want to see one of those games in person so bad. I heard those games are crazy. Like I've seen
I've
this
seen it
when I went
sometimes
to
at like late night though.
when I was in Australia, I drove by those stadiums are like football stadiums. They're big, like they go hard for their Australian football. Like I want to see one of those games in person. Those guys go hard. But shout out to the MLS, man. They're grinding, man. They have been
Bro,
expanding like crazy.
listen, yo, Miami FC, man. Yo, if you're down to go to a game
That's
too,
not MLS, bro. Inter
Is what?
Miami.
I
That's
stand
the-
corrected. Inter
No,
Miami.
Miami FC is that feeder league. Inter Miami is the David Beckham big. That's like the
Yeah.
big league.
Where
It's
is the? They don't have their own stadium
Yeah,
yet, right?
it's in
Yes, it's-
Lockhart.
Yeah,
Some
well,
Fort Lauderdale.
that is their stadium. They completely. I've seen it. They completely renovated it. Like the logos,
Oh,
all that's the headquarters. So how it's gonna work is you have Inter Miami. They're playing in Fort Lauderdale temporarily at Lockhart. That is gonna be their headquarters. But once they finish building the main stadium in Miami, their feeder team Inter Fort Lauderdale. So right now they're sharing the stadium with Inter Fort Lauderdale and Inter Miami. They're sharing the stadium. The headquarters is there. But then once they build the new stadium, they're gonna move and play their home games there. The headquarters is still gonna stay there at Lockhart and Fort Lauderdale, and the developed team is there, and their academy, and like all their feeder stuff is gonna be in Fort Lauderdale, and the main team's gonna play, and their headquarters stuff's gonna be. But
So-
I'm down to go to a game. They just announced the schedule, so I'm all for it. I'm hyped.
Could put that on the list too for this year, man. NHL and soccer. Down to try new things for
You
sure.
can do it. Julian, you want to recap what we saw last weekend with the UFC 259? We actually saw it together in person. We went to, a fine establishment wearing our masks.
A fine establishment.
What do you want to talk about as far as UFC? What was we could talk about the top 3 fights that we saw at the end.
Yeah.
And what your takeaways were from that.
Yeah. So the first fight with Petr Yan and man, what was the other guy's name? The Jamaican guy. Sterling. Man, all right. So Petr Yan was winning that. Or Petr Yan was winning that, and he was whooping his ass, honestly. But then he ended up losing to disqualification for a legal knee to the head, and man, that guy got fucking rocks. Dude. That guy was shook. Did you see it, Jojo?
Yeah, I saw that. So, man, it's like I love, I read captions, I see on social media and everything, comments and stuff what people say, and people genuinely thought like he was flopping, and he was selling it. What do you guys think?
As something? No,
I think he was gassed. That his first round was his best round. Sterling, I'm talking about Sterling. His first round was the best round, but after that he was gassed and he had no fight left in him. If you saw his punches, he slowed down. He was throwing weak punches, wasn't hitting. He was getting hit a lot, and he should have been knocked down earlier. Like I was like, this guy's not gonna last. And the fact that he lost of a technicality, or Petr Yan, whatever.
Petr Yan lost, yeah.
that he lost on technicality, it kind of sucks. And you kind of saw in the after, the post interview, how his kind of Sterling
The
was
guy
kind of
didn't.
upset, or
He didn't want to win that way. That was not a flop, though. Not even close. People that
I
say
don't
that
think it was flopping, man.
people that say that are idiots have never trained.
He was gassed. That guy was gassed. He was getting pushed up against the cage, and he was just, bro. He was barely hanging on by a thread.
And first off, too, that knee was clearly intent, and they're actually the UFC is going to investigate the coaches and stuff, because some people are kind of defending Peter. I don't defend Peter Yan, because people are saying they're kind of defending him because they said the coaches were telling him to do it, which therefore was kind of notifying that he was kind of on his feet.
He knew what he was doing. He had intention.
But I think that's bullshit, because at the end of the day, as a professional UFC fighter, a champion, you should know to not even risk it. Like, you should know. And I get you're in the heat of the moment and everything, but like, those guys are wired to not do that. I mean, I've trained MMA myself. You're wired to not kick when somebody's down. Like, you're not.
It's one thing if his head is down and he's trying to come at you, he's trying to grapple you. That's one thing. But if he's just head is down because he's far away from you and your head's down, and then you load up on him like that, I mean, obviously you can't.
And people that say that he flopped, or like I said, those are people who've never even taken a knee. And like, when you're down like that, first off, your knee is so much force. There's so much force. I mean, we've even seen Jorge Masvidal knock out fucking Ben Askren with a flying knee in the first 5 seconds. Knees are no joke. It's solid bone, and he hit him straight in the temple. Like, you don't even need. And plus, the guy was already, like you said, the guy was already dazed as it is. And all it takes was maybe even a half-hearted knee just to knock that guy out. And he clearly did not get a half-hearted knee, because they don't do that. That guy got his shit rocked, and it was evident. And it was nasty. I mean, you can even hear Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier talk about it. Like, it was rough. Like, me seeing that was rough. Like, that was a hard
he was definitely going for the kill shot, because
I'm surprised people are even saying that he flopped, because that's like complete bullshit. Like that.
I mean, he could have roundhouse kicked him, but he was going for the fucking knee. And when you're going to put a knee, you don't put your knee in somebody's fucking forehead. Like, you're trying to take his head off. You're trying to decapitate him, dog. And that was just nasty to watch. It kind of sucks. Like I said, I thought that Sterling was kind of just done for. Like, I thought he was going to lose the fight anyways. And it kind of sucks that that's how the fight ended. But like Julian was saying, like, you can't see. You got to be professional enough to see that he's on his knee. He's not lunging at you. If your head's down because I'm trying to throw a punch, whatever, that's one thing. But if he's just down and he's not even trying to attack you, and
not to attempt that. Not to attempt that. It's just like it's wired. Like, it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's kind of like, obviously I didn't compete, in any MMA or anything like that, but we did wrestle, right? So there are rules. Anything like we're triggered not to do, right? Like, so in folk style wrestling, if the man is down on the knee, you can't clasp. So you always hesitate not to put your hands. Something as simple as that.
So I mean, it's in all sports. It's like, think of basketball. Like, when you travel, it just feels weird. Like, it feels weird when you take that third step. Like, you're wide.
Unless you're James Harden.
Unless you're James Harden. Unless you're in the NBA, you can take 5 fucking steps, apparently, in the NBA.
Okay. Not to get off topic, but it's like, it's intent of what he was doing in that fight. You know what I mean? Morally, you know what to do and what not to do. So that was insane.
So that was the end of that fight. Julian, want to get into the next one?
Then we went on to that ass whooping that I said was gonna happen. The fucking beatdown, bro. Who was like?
What are we talking about?
We were talking about, and you know who.
No, you can't say you know who. Nobody.
The monster.
Like,
the monster that is Amanda Nunes.
Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson.
The greatest woman fighter to ever put on the gloves. And it's not even close. Like, nobody is even in the same hemisphere as fucking Amanda Nunes. Like, it is. Like, it's not even close. Like, there's not a single fighter out there that can even make her lose a round. Like, she is so I don't recall anybody being as like this dominant ever. Not even Anderson Silva, not John Jones, not George St. Pierre, not why's my mind drawing a blank?
Me?
Habib. Like, yeah. The only other person I can think of maybe is Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson when he was in the UFC. Like, he was just dumb. They had to trade him just to get somebody else. the Bellator, that trade in Bellator. But Amanda Nunes is just unreal on both weight classes, 135 and 145. And it's not even close. I mean, she whooped that girl's ass, rocked her, and then she just took her down and then armbarred her. Like, it was nothing. I mean, she just obliterated it. She just made her look like a rookie. And that's just, it's greatness. Like, it's like we look at Tom Brady, and I think Amanda Nunes is one of the most slept on athletes right now. Like, people do not talk about how dominant she is in her. Like, she's more dominant than Serena Williams. Like, she is so ridiculously dominant. Like, it's unreal. Like,
I was a little bit scared going into this fight because, you know, Megan Anderson, I didn't know who she was, but obviously she was clearly like fucking 10 feet taller than her. I'm exaggerating, but she was way taller than her. So I'm like, yo, this girl's gonna have more reach. Maybe she might put up a fight or whatever. But like you said, Nunes, she's just on top of her game, man. Like, she's just, nobody else is in her class. She is the most dominant, and there's kind of like nobody else around. You know, we had this scenario, like, you can only fight or play whoever's in front of you. So, and right now there's nobody. You know, she's the big dog. She's the big fish. She's the shark. Whatever metaphor you want to use. And there's really nobody that can kind of match her level.
And my thing is, it's not even like, all right, yeah, she cleaned the division. Like, Khabib cleaned the division, but, you know, he was very dominant. And we could arguably say that Conor McGregor had him lose his first only round ever. And then you could say Anderson Silva, who was really dominant. But, you know, John Jones clearly had some really close fights. But I mean, there is a huge gap. Like, huge gap. Like, I've never seen this in professional sport ever, of such a huge fucking, in modern day sports.
My question is, though, here's my question. You know, not to take anything away from her, just something for everyone to think about. Obviously, there's dominance there, but is that also due to lack of competition, or are you just that good? You're just separating yourself, or people are just, you know, the competitors that are being given to her, like Gabe said, you can only face off who's put in front of you. Again, not to take anything away from her, but how's the competition level? How are those fighters?
We can go, Gabe.
I was gonna say, her job is not to be a developer of talent, right? She's an MMA fighter, and you know, she gets paid to fight. So her job is just train and be the best fighter. Like, her job is not to develop talent and make it more interesting and bring more names and more people, more talent around to compete against her. Her job is just to fight. And if they put people in front of her and she keeps knocking them down, like, what else do you want her to do? Like, she's just doing her job. She's gonna get paid. She's gonna get endorsements of being the best.
I'm not saying nothing against her. Yeah. You know, if you're talking about a level of dominance, but
So here's what I'll say, and to kind of answer Jojo's question, because the thing is, the difference was with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was a one-trick pony, like, and I knew it. Like, anybody who was like, who watched fighting, even moderately, you can tell there just wasn't enough people in the UFC. There was a very small group. There's a lot of good, talented women fighters, especially in those lower divisions. I mean, obviously in her own division, there's not as. I think the thing is, there's like I said, there's talent there, and the reason why I think it's a little different than when you look at Ronda Rousey, one, because she whooped her ass, but it's the fashion that she won. Because you look at everybody else, and there's good fights, there's close fights. You know, they're all on the same level. But then you look at her and you look at how she beats people, and it's absurd. And it's not she's a one trick. She started out as a grappler, like, in Brazil. She picked up boxing as an adult. She picked up boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai as an adult, and she just naturally got it. And she's knocked out so many people. She's knocked out people. She's TKO'd. She takes them down. Like, she submits. Like, she's won in every fashion, and in a dominant way, in an extremely dominant way. And yes, you could say the competition thing, but UFC's at the point where there is no other women professional fighters. And like I said, there's solid talent in there. And I mean, it's unreal. And it's like I said, you look at Serena, like, yeah, there's some really good tennis players in there, but Serena's just on another level. And you look at Amanda Nunes, and yeah, maybe she's a product of like being kind of early in the sport, but like
Yeah.
I think it's a little different when you look at modern day versus like you look at like the 60s and 50s, because modern day, like, you got to think like these people are they're getting the best training, the sports medicine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, too, with MMA, like
The
these aren't just
nutrition,
like these aren't just like people. To the women and men that are entering MMA, you got to take into consideration too. These guys are champions in their own martial arts as well.
yeah.
Like a lot of these guys are champions in their own. Like Israel Adesanya, who we're going to talk about next. He was a kickboxing gold medal. Like he was a kickboxing champion. He was a beast. And a lot of these guys are black belt jiu-jitsu. Like martial arts has been around forever. And like these she's just dominant. It's a little different. Like that's why I think she's a little different, because these people are still champions. And these people are still black belts and masters in their martial arts. They're still black
There you
belts.
go.
They're
Yeah.
still
I mean, yeah, you answered the question right there, man. Putting those statements out. I was just curious to hear. And that's cool because that level of dominance obviously is going to set the standard and the bar high for the next generation talent coming in, right? You're going to see the bar and standard set so high that these next pool of fighters are going to try to strive to be like that. And we're going to see a lot more of that. And that's dope, man. She's a beast.
Yeah, she only loses if she gets too old. I don't see how she
Has she ever lost?
Yeah, she
like
lost
early in her
21 and
career.
4.
Leon? Okay.
21 and 4, yeah.
But now she's peaking.
I don't know what her win
25
streak
fights.
is. Yeah, what's her win streak?
21, that's pretty good. Huh?
What's her win streak? You have that up?
Hers is Amanda Nunes is 21 and 4. I don't have the whole.
You don't have the win streak. Here's what her win streak is. It's big though. She might be pushing towards the record.
The last time she lost was against Kat Zingano, and that was UFC 178. That was 2014 is the last time she lost.
Wow.
Zingano was a really good fighter.
Wow.
She was pretty good. I don't know what happened to her actually. But that was early in her career, from what I understand.
She's beat all the names. Look, she beat Felicia Spencer, which was like an up and comer. She's kind of a new person in MMA. She beat Holly Holm. She beat Chris Cyborg. She beat Shevchenko. She beat Ronda Rousey. She beat Misha Tate. So she's beat names
names. Those are big names.
She beat names that people that got in front of her, and it seems like right now there's nobody else that's like on her level. So like she's probably in line to
she just got
be
better.
Dominant. Yeah, for the rest of the sport, and hopefully it's on on the MMA to develop more talent. Like there's not really a lot in the United States, but there's like a lot of Brazilian fighters who are into judo and Gracie.
It's growing international, man. Yeah. I mean, think about all the people. Like the beginning of UFC was all Americans and Brazilians. Look at like half the champions that we have now. Like they're from all over the place. Like UFC, like we talk about like NHL and MLB, all those, like UFC is exploded because at the end of the day, it's a sport that anybody can understand. Everybody knows when you're whooping somebody else's ass. Like it's fighting.
They can tell. They can tell
human nature
when you're asleep.
It's easy. It's easy to watch, and it's something that's universal that everybody understands. Fighting, like everybody understands, and that's what makes it so popular. Now you're starting to get guys from all over the place.
All right, now, let's get into this last
speaking
fight.
Speaking of people from all over, Israel Adesanya from Nigeria and Blachowicz from Russia, I believe. Which, Gabe, give me your thoughts.
I thought that Adesanya was winning maybe the first 2 or 3 rounds, but I just think they kind of got John kind of got just kind of wrapped them up and kind of controlled them for the last 2. And I thought it was a pretty fair, even fight. It wasn't all the ballistics I thought it was going to be, because I thought Adesanya was just going to dominate. And kind of near the end, it kind of just grinded down to a slow halt where they're just kind of holding each other, grappling, doing small hits. But I thought it was a fair fight. I thought it was the judgment was like fair to call him the winner. Just because the guy's he's a lot bigger. Adesanya is kind of a skinny guy, lanky guy, and the other guy was just bigger.
He didn't have size. Yeah. Other guy was Jan was a grappler.
He was just kind of bodying him and just kind of controlling him near the end of the fight. And I think that's kind of where the fight was lost. But I thought overall it was pretty good. Not the result I expected. I expected Adesanya to just be dominant and try to, the UFC wanted this fight to, I think we talked about you and I, Julian, that UFC wants to see this Adesanya Bones Jones fight happen, and this is kind of like just a bump in the road, I guess, of that. Because I don't know who else, you know more than I, who are the next defenders or what are the possible next fights. But I thought it was a fair decision. You know what I mean? Like, he won. I thought I was okay with it. Like, it wasn't like
he
overall,
won. It was pretty clear. Like you said, I'll say the first and the third round are really close. I think judges' scorecard, I was looking at it, all three of them had Adesanya win the third round. They all had Jan win the first two. I don't remember the second round as much, but I know the first one was super close. The third one, girl won by very slight margin. And then round 4 and 5, the championship rounds, Jan, he just dominated. Izzy didn't stand a chance. Like, I mean, he was just out wrestling him. And I mean, from what I understand, I kind of like what a lot of people were saying, they kind of expected it because one, Jan is a grappler. And as soon as he was able to kind of get in touch with Israel, it's kind of done because Israel heavily relies on his striking because he's an elite striker, champion kickboxer. Like he's one of the best, if not the best striker in all of MMA. And Jan was just able to, bulldoze him, push him to the cage, bring him down, get nice takedowns, just ground and pound the whole fight. And I think good coaching by his team because those first 3 rounds he was trying to stand up with them. Then those big 4 and 5, like that really won him the fight. Like did what got him there, who got him the championship, and what
if I
helped
can
him.
just jump
What
in real
helped him
quick
beat
to give you,
Dominic Reyes.
Jan had 184 as far as strikes, total strikes, 184 to 99 to Jan, 107 to 78 standing. That's total strikes and then 6 strikes. What is 6 strikes? I don't know. So they had 184 99 to Jan, and as far as takedown, had 3-0 takedowns to Jan. So if you look at the stats,
he outstriked Israel.
Yeah, 184 to 99. So
interesting. Wow, I don't remember it as much.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Maybe from ground and pound. Maybe from the ground and pound. That might be what
possibly.
It is. Does it say from standing, or does it just say in general?
No, there's another number, 107 to 78, but that Jan also dominated that. So I can see why the judges thought that way, and I kind of expected.
It didn't feel like he really like. Well, if you're talking about total strikes, a lot of that probably comes from against the standing. It was probably a little bit more even. Maybe give the edge to Jan. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the UFC wanted Izzy to win. I mean, it's in their best interest, with him being growing popularity and everything. But Jan I think he kind of established himself that he's here to be here for a long time. I mean, he was a really good fighter, and he showed up, man. He showed up. I think he wants to face Jon Jones. Maybe Jon Jones got to come back down and see if he can beat him out.
And also, compared to the first 2 fights, because obviously the Jan Sterling fight kind of ended in disappointment. I was like, it's whatever. And then Amanda Nunes comes in and dominates. I was like, I
swear we got 2 Jans.
Really good. I was like, these fights are kind of like, then it's kind of a quick fight, like whatever. Very
predictable,
underwhelming. I would say not disappointing, but underwhelming fights. So,
I thought that Izzy, I cannot say that, guys. I thought that fight was pretty good. I wasn't upset with that. It was entertaining.
Yeah. So this last championship round, I was very satisfied with it. I was like, this is pretty good. Like it kind of, like I said, it's slow down near the end, but it was a fair fight and entertaining. It wasn't like the big knockout whoop. Seeing some guy in the ground like fucking what's his basketball, Nate Robinson or some shit. But
God,
it was a pretty good card. It was all right.
And our final topic, speaking of that, not really speaking of basketball, but how big of a pickup was this for the Brooklyn Nets to acquire Blake Griffin? Jojo, you didn't say.
Wow. Listen, as a Brooklyn native, right?
What do you call somebody from Brooklyn? Brooklynite?
Brooklynite.
It's a Brooklyn native. Obviously, this is exciting for the city. You already have 3 of the best players in the league on your team. You're already stacked, and to get a nice vet player, and people are saying some people are underwhelming it, some are overhyping it. I think it's right in the middle, right? It's just an additional piece that he's not there to take over the team, right? He's not going to be prime Blake Griffin. He's going to be their defensive presence. He's going to get there, couple putbacks, rebounds, aggressive player, you know what I mean? And that's just extra fuel to the fire. I mean, what do you really lose out of it? Honestly, he doesn't beg for the ball. He's not a selfish player, and it just adds on for the depth to go to the finals. It's a good pickup. I mean, obviously, he decided where he wanted to go.
I think he's going to turn up. I think because of the situation, I think he's going to try hard. He's going to put in some. Not to say he never put in effort, but like I think he likes. It's probably the best team he's ever been on.
Well, arguably, yeah.
The Clippers,
a few of those years they could have made a run for it. They were just choking in the playoffs.
But do you think they're better than this? I think there might be. He might rejuvenate. Where was he at before? I don't remember. Well, I forgot. He kind of just fell off.
He was with Detroit, and I can see what you mean.
That's right. He was with Detroit.
Best team. Honestly, Clippers are one of the best teams in the league those years. But we got to see when playoff time comes around. Obviously, right? We don't want to have a disappointment. So obviously, he's on a great team. We'll see what happens. And like I said, they're not looking for prime. Blake. Honestly, I don't even think he's dunked this entire season. I don't know if you guys heard that absurd stat.
I heard that.
There's like 0 dunks this season. And you know what? One thing I can say about Blake Griffin is that his ability to adapt, right? He came in as he was a lobber. He's throwing down dunks, only post player. Like, that's all he did. This guy is taking step back threes. He has a mid-range game going on. He has a layup package. His handle got better. So his ability to adapt, I don't think he needs to be the main attraction there in Brooklyn. He's going to do what he has to do for the team to win. Now, all these Eastern Conference teams, again, not even more reason to watch out, bro. Like, the Nets are stacked. And they say they're doing all this to be an almost 40-year-old man with LeBron in the West Coast.
What do you mean? They're doing all this to beat a 40-year-old man named Udonis Haslem, dog. What are you talking about?
I said almost 40-year-old man. LeBron he's pushing 40. They're doing all this to get that ring over him. But
they're scared of the Heat.
I think it's a great pickup. There's no negatives to it. I mean, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
If Anthony Davis can come back and be like 100%, well, I don't know if they make it to the final.
Listen, if
he comes back and he's like 80%, I don't know if they make it. I think he has to come back and really be dominant. Because I mean, the Suns, the Jazz, like they're playing real basketball. They're showing up.
Man, like a lot of teams, bro, especially in the West, that 1 seed to me, because it's so competitive, really doesn't hold any value besides for your seeding. So if the Jazz they want to finish first, that's cool. Who's to say they're not going to lose in the second round and not
depends.
Get by? You know what I mean?
I think you want to. I think in the West you want to face that 8th seed. In the West, you want to face that 8th seed. I don't know if anything. What's the standings right
now? No, that's why I said second round, and that's why I said second round. They could get by the 8th seed, but then that second round, it's already evenly matched. By the time you get second round in the West.
Luka and the Mavericks are number 8 right now. So, and then number 7 will be the Spurs.
They can't beat the Jazz in the first round because they're having a bad season, but they're still a playoff contingent team. Like if they turn things around by playoffs and they finish the 8th seed, that's a scary 8th seed for, let's say, the
West is scary, man. The West is super
what I mean?
Scary, and that's why I'm saying. Well, that's why I'm saying I think Anthony Davis really has to show out because I mean that Western Conference, man, is tough. Like the Mavericks, number 8 with Luke Bennett, that's a tough fucking conference.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying I think it's going to take a lot for Lakers. I think you really need Anthony Davis to.
In the West right now, they got 3 teams that are bunched up right now. So Jazz are number 1 with 27 wins, but with 24 wins is Suns, Lakers, and Clippers. So that's pretty tight. And then after them, it'll be 21 wins with Trailblazers and Nuggets. So it's still pretty tight. I mean, we'll see. Coming off the half, teams separate and kind of lock down to solidify their seats.
How many games is there?
There's only like 30 more games left. They've only played, 24.
Supposed to be 60 games?
They played 36 games so far in the league. 36 games. So there's another 30 games.
82 games.
Only 62. Yeah.
Well, it's a shortened season.
Yeah.
They
Or they
shortened
still.
it?
Well, it
I
started in
never-
Christmas. Started in Christmas instead of late October.
Yeah, but I thought that I didn't know if they were gonna extend it or not. To
Oh,
be
did
honest.
they? Oh, I thought they shortened it. I thought it's supposed to be a
They
little
did.
bit
So
shorter.
there's about 30 games left in the season. So,
So it's like 20 less games.
Yeah. So we'll see how teams separate now, because now it's gonna get more interesting. Now we're coming off All-Star break, and we're gonna see how teams break away. As far as the net situation, like this is a great situation for them. I think there was much a surprise because that was like one of the first teams I heard when they said, "Oh, they're gonna trade away or that they're gonna Blake Griffin was gonna be available."
Yeah, bought out his contract.
Nets was
and,
Nets was one of the first teams I heard. So like right now with KD being
it was
out,
Nets, Lakers, Heat, top 3. Honestly, top 3 destinations that was gonna go down.
What are the Heat at?
so Heat are number 6, I believe. We're number 6.
They're climbing.
They're
Yeah,
climbing
number 6 behind the Knicks. We're 1 game behind the Knicks. We're 18
behind the Knicks.
I'm not
Knicks
worried about the
up there,
Knicks.
boy.
No.
I'm
I
not
think
worried.
Knicks are out first round.
Knicks.
Calling it.
Listen,
For sure.
Knicks are out first round.
Let's see if they can hold that 6 seed. To be honest,
We'll see when people start playing at 100% level how well the Knicks fare up. Because obviously regular season you're probably playing at like 80, 70%. We'll see when playoffs come around when everybody's turning up to 100 how well the Knicks.
yeah. And I'm telling you, Miami had a late start, so we had a rough start to the first half. But I feel like we're gonna be doing okay now that we got everybody coming back.
So what's
coming
what's
off
the
the break.
top? What's the top of the standings for?
The Eastern Conference, so it's kind of a little bunched up. So with 24 wins is the 76ers number 1, and the Nets have 24 wins. Then the Bucs, Celtics. Bucs have 22. Celtics have 19. Knicks have 19, and then the Heat have 18. Those are the top 6 teams.
What are 7 and 8?
7, 8, Hornets and Raptors.
All right,
with
so
17
man,
wins.
Raptors are really falling slowly down.
I mean, it's still pretty close because right now, if you consider where the Hornets are, like they're only 1 game behind the Heat, 2 games behind the Knicks and the Celtics. I mean, there's still a bunch of people, around the 19 to 16 game level. So 2 or 3 games, and there's a lot of volatility on the bottom seed, those 6 and down.
get a little 4-game win streak, and that's it. You jump up 3 seeds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the East is the best it's been in a while. I think the East is still really good. It's not as good as the West, but the East it's coming really competitive. I'd say there's 6 or 5 teams that are really competitive.
Yeah,
6 or 5
expect
teams.
the Heat.
Like I really have any faith in the Hornets. I don't really have faith in the Knicks. I don't really have faith in the Raptors. And I think the rest of the 5,
I wouldn't sleep on the Raptors. Based off the last, previous seasons, they've proven in the playoffs. They even came back against the Celtics last.
Yeah, but if they don't turn up and they're staying the bottom, I mean, you're gonna have to face the Sixers or the
honestly,
Nets.
that's fine. Listen,
well, I'm not really scared of the Sixers. Honestly, they don't show up. But I will say I'm scared of the net. I would be scared of the Nets, and I'd be scared of the Bucs.
I would rather be an 8 seed and face the Sixers first round, because we've seen the Sixers these last few playoffs, which obviously the first seed this season, that's fine. But we've seen them get beat out by the Celtics. I don't know if it was once or twice, or Kawhi hit the game winner on them 2 seasons ago.
They've been supposed to be the best team in the East for like 3 years now. They tanked for like 6 years to be to be a playoff bust team.
Listen, like I said, I'd rather take the Sixers first round if I was the Raptors as an 8 than go against the Nets as a 7 seed. So, not to take anything away from the Sixers, they're having a great season. But again, like you said, you don't feel the threat. You don't feel like, their dominance there at that 1 seed. You know what I mean?
No.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens, obviously. But yeah, that's my take.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it for sports. I mean, I'm going to continue watching, now that basketball's going to start up. They haven't been playing for a while, but the games are going to come back on. We'll continue watching some hockey, UFC when it becomes, I guess, the next
big fight is Stipe and Ngannou at the end of the month.
Next Jojo's boys fighting the 11th, right?
He's fighting tonight.
Hey.
UFC Fight
Pass.
Pass.
Why are we watching that right now? You know what? Let's close this link. I'm going right now, bro. I'm going right now to the website.
My boy
Saeed. We'll see if we can find it.
Oh.
But next week's gonna be big. Well, what?
Who's he fighting? The shin to the chin?
Shin to the
Homeboy?
chin.
Shin to the chin, whatever the fuck that is.
It's all root for my boy Saeed, for real though. Good luck. He should be fighting soon. Honestly, I think it all started at like 8:30. You know, he's the co-main event, so he has some time. He's probably fighting like an hour and a half.
So let's wrap it up. All the things, Real Fan Podcast. Thank you all for listening, paying attention. We're in all the things: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, YouTube,
LinkedIn,
all the things. All the links in the description. Google Plus. We're on Napster as well. I forget. I'm just an old musty reference. I'm sorry.
But yeah, subscribe to our YouTube, follow our Twitter, follow our Instagram, follow our Facebook. Go follow our Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcast. And yeah, man. Been a good episode, guys.
Till next week. Next week, our boys coming back with a win. Jojo's boys coming back with a win next week. We're going to update you on that fight.
Getting that dub.